Hello, friends. If you're new, welcome. Why don't you go down and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any episodes for my fans and subscribers. Welcome back. I really do appreciate you. Today's topic, Jehovah's Witnesses, organizational structure. Not much else I need to say. Let's get on with the video. The formal organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, they claim, is God's government on earth, a theocracy. This term really means hierarchy in the world of JWs. Second, informal relationships are often more important than the formal. The idealized organization gives importance to the quote-unquote faithful and discreet slave. However, as a class, they play no part in the governing of the organization. Of course, all who govern the organization must be a part of this supposed quote-unquote slave class. The governing body's authority ultimately derives from other factors. The hierarchy is top-down, much like that of the Roman Catholic Church, but there are differences also. Since the witnesses have regarded the Roman Catholic Church as the enemy, it is no surprise that they have unconsciously copied them. Joseph Rutherford basically took control of the Watchtower in a hostile takeover and became an autocrat. Nathan Knorr followed in his footsteps until 1971. In that year, Watchtower formally established the governing body in an attempt to reduce his power, at least in theory. It is difficult to trace exactly how the governing body came into existence, although there are things that we can ascertain. During the 60s, JWs around the world were not happy with the organizational structure. Overseers were often described as dictators. Over time, Brooklyn became aware of these problems. In 1965, Knorr called on 5 of the most prominent members to produce the JW Bible dictionary called Aid to Bible Understanding. In so doing, he inadvertently gave permission for long-term research on non-JW sources and commentaries. They investigated the organization of the first century Christian church and concluded that the Jehovah's Witness organization since 1938 did not line up with this model. At about the same time that Brooklyn was being made aware of general unrest, Franz presented the idea that congregations should have a body of elders and the international organization should be ruled by a governing body. The board of directors already had this title, but Franz gave it more weight by suggesting those at Jerusalem comprised the governing body. Both Knorr and Franz initially opposed the move. Although Franz seemed to give in, this was just politics. Neither the president nor vice president intended to give up any power. They did allow the changes in lower church governance, but nothing happened at Brooklyn. The governing body was assembled, but it did not govern. Instead, it served as more of a council, mainly discussing what should be disfellowshipping offenses. Soon, many of the governing body were determined to bring about what amounted to a coup in 1975. This mainly occurred due to general unhappiness with working conditions at Bethel, and the governing body, minus Knorr and Franz, feeling that they should have actual governing powers instead of just being a governing body in name. Franz opposed the move, arguing that the Jerusalem men never served as a supervisory board. Finally, Knorr reluctantly gave in to the five-man committee headed by Raymond Franz, and Fred Franz also accepted the inevitable. Fred Franz succeeded Knorr as president in 1977, but the power he wielded was nothing like that of Rutherford or Knorr. However, Fred Franz's personal influence was such that he regained some of the powers of the previous presidents. Even though he is dead, he is still known as the Society's oracle and continues to be an ideologue to many. The governing body has been the ruling class of Watchtower since 1975. Members are generally selected because of their loyalty to the organization, not spiritual or intellectual acumen, which goes a long way in explaining all the sheer stupidity that comes out of their mouths. Interestingly, they refer to the organization as Mother and seem to be both servants and masters of Watchtower tradition. This would certainly explain their incompetence in making any significant doctrinal or administrative changes that could help Watchtower, especially when it comes to child protection. Aside from loyalty, these men share other characteristics. First of all, they're all men, which goes to show the misogyny of the organization. Most are also old. However, their greatest hurdle seems to be that they haven't had any experience outside the witness community in decades. With the power shift in 1975, many at Bethel hoped for a less dogmatic course. Sidlick is said to have stated that Watchtower needed, quote-unquote, a little fresh air. Ray Franz and Lyman Swingle wanted their colleagues to abandon, or at least reconsider, the Gentile times and the 1914 teaching. However, most governing body members favored a return to the more unyielding doctrines and practices under Rutherford and Knorr. Evidently, the suggested changes by those on the governing body with more open minds frightened the conservative majority, and abandoning their chronology would have undermined Watchtower's authority. If Jesus didn't come back in 1914 and had not appointed the faithful and discreet slave over all his belongings, why did Watchtower even exist? And how could the governing body claim authority? In addition, denying the chronology would negate the preaching work. At this point in time, witnesses in general questioned the 1914 teaching, but traditionalists were able to block moves either to abandon it or to significantly change the teaching. From its inception to that point, decisions had been unanimous. After this, the policy changed to 2/3. This change meant that if a majority of the governing body wanted change, a minority could still veto it. In February of 1980, when it was becoming clear that the generation of 1914 was dying off, 3 members of the governing body, Albert Schroeder, Karl Klein, and Grant Suter came up with an idea that would adjust the timeline. They suggested that the teaching should be updated to the generation which witnessed the beginning of the space age would never die, not the generation that saw 1914. The governing body opposed this and other changes. Foremost was the failure of the 1975 prophecy and the resulting decline of the witness population due to people leaving. They were also becoming aware of dissent in the community in general, and at Bethel in particular. By 1979, many Bethelites who were or are witnesses at Watchtower headquarters started questioning not only the Society's chronology, but also major doctrines. And this is where we will pick up next time. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new videos, press the bell next to the subscribe button. Also, please share this with others. My Twitter, Discord, email, and PayPal links are in the description, along with the source I used for this episode. If you wish to support this channel, you may do so on my PayPal link. Also, please leave comments in the comment section. Not only do I love hearing from you, and yes, I read each and every comment, but it also triggers the YouTube algorithm. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, stay safe and goodbye.